Welcome to Story Spin. I'm Rory, and apparently this is what I do with my free time now. If you've ever wondered how messy people's relationships really get, you're in the right place. Let's dive in, because trust me, it's worse than you think. You know, just when you think you've heard the worst a future mother-in-law can possibly be, along comes someone who somehow makes every other story look tame by comparison. What starts with weird comments and creepy questions quickly spirals into theft, sabotage, and full-on violence. And just when you think it's finally over, this woman takes it to an entirely new level you wouldn't believe if it wasn't laid out in black and white. Strap in, because this is the kind of story that makes you thankful for every boring, drama-free family dinner you've ever had. Let's get into it. This story comes from the entitled Parents sub. OP also posted this, and her updates on other subs as well. I have seen a lot of crazy people in my life, but my potential future mother-in-law is the absolute worst person I have ever met. I, 30-year-old female, have been with my boyfriend, 31-year-old male, for 8 months now. For the first few months, everything was amazing. He is the sweetest and most caring man I have ever been with. He likes to surprise me with fun dates and flowers for no apparent reason. The biggest surprise of all, though, was when I met his mother. I met his parents for the first time a few months ago. The first thing his mother said to me when I walked in the door was, "Are you Jewish?" I am not, and I am not particularly religious, but I was raised Catholic. Once I told her this, it was the beginning of the madness. She immediately stopped talking to me and acted as if I didn't exist. I was extremely nervous about meeting my boyfriend's parents, so this broke my heart. I was determined to make a good impression, so I kept trying to connect with her. This was a huge mistake, and I should have just let it go. Once we were all seated for dinner, she finally decided to try and make conversation. I have naturally red hair, and she asked me if my parents have the same color. I told her that I have the same hair as my mother. She then had the audacity to ask me, "Does the carpet match the drapes?" I had no idea how to respond and just sat there stunned. Seeing my reaction, she said, "Don't worry, I'll just ask my son about it later." I looked over at my boyfriend, who seemed equally as shocked, but he didn't say anything. She then started to go on about my hair being too curly. She told me that I really need to learn how to run a brush through my hair and think about my appearance more when I am out with her son. Then, when I didn't eat much at dinner, she gave me her version of a compliment. I was told it was good that I am watching what I eat because it would be a shame if I got any bigger. This was just my first meeting with this woman. As soon as I got into my car, I burst into tears until I got home. My boyfriend was texting me and apologizing for his mother's behavior, but the damage was done, and I told him I needed time to think. He went into apology overload after this and started sending flowers to my office every day and leaving me messages begging me to talk to him. I finally agreed, and we went out to dinner. He told me he spoke with his mother about her inappropriate comments, and he swore it would never happen again. With this reassurance, I decided to give it another chance. Fast forward 2 weeks to when he invited me to come to a family birthday party. This time, I would also be meeting his sisters and grandparents. His grandparents and sisters are awesome people. They asked me normal questions about my job, family, and friends. His mother seemed to be avoiding me throughout the evening, and honestly, I was okay with that. I went to grab something from my purse and noticed that it was not where I left it. I looked everywhere but could not find it. I went and asked my boyfriend, and he began to help me look. He then got a strange look on his face and quickly went upstairs. I could then hear a lot of yelling begin upstairs. He came back down holding my purse after a few minutes and told me that we were leaving. Once we got in the car, I asked him what was going on. His mother had taken my purse so that she could see my driver's license. She intended to try and run a background check on me. He told me she had told him this earlier, but honestly, he had thought she was joking. I thought that it was best if I avoided any of his family functions for the time being. This worked out great for a while, and he went to any of his family parties alone. He would ask me each time before leaving if I was sure that I didn't want to go, but I always declined. Last week, his family had their family reunion, and he asked me to please come with him. I was very reluctant, But considering there would be so many people present, I didn't think she would pull anything. When we got there, everything was going great. I met his extended family and got to catch up with his sisters. His mother did seem to be shooting me death glares all night, but I brushed it off. Soon, she came over and joined a table I was seated at with his sisters and some cousins. Conversation was pleasant, as we were talking about his sister's children. His sister has a daughter who is 12 and is the same age as my niece. I then showed his sister a picture of my niece on my phone. His mother took a look at the screen and began to laugh. She told me she hopes that if my boyfriend and I ever have children, that they don't look like my niece. My niece is beautiful, by the way, and she is only 12 years old. What kind of monster attacks a 12-year-old child's appearance? This was my breaking point, and I went off like a volcano. I started to yell at her and told her she is the most evil person I have ever had the displeasure to meet. I told her if I ever did have children with her son, she can be certain she will never meet them because hell is too far to travel to. I am not 100% certain exactly everything that I said, but from what his younger sister later said, it was epic. She began to play the victim and cried that I had just misunderstood her joke. My boyfriend came rushing over at this point, and she threw herself into his arms, telling him I am a horrible woman and he needed to throw me out right now. He told her that wasn't going to happen and to stop making a fool of herself. She seemed to accept this for a moment and sat back down. She just kept sobbing that I just didn't understand how to take a joke. Then something in her snapped as she noticed something that my boyfriend was holding in his hand and began to have another meltdown. I didn't understand what was happening at this point and just stood there watching a grown woman throw a tantrum like a toddler. None of what she was saying made any sense to me, as it was mostly just unintelligible screaming. But I did pick up on many derogatory comments directed my way. My boyfriend then told me we were leaving and told me to grab my things. As I started to get ready, his mother made a lunge for my boyfriend's hand and grabbed the small box he was holding. She then looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You will never have this ring, you little B-word." She ran outside and threw the box down a storm drain. Turns out that my boyfriend was intending on proposing to me. He had just obtained his grandmother's ring while we were at the reunion. His grandmother is completely heartbroken because now her ring is down a storm drain instead of continuing on in the family as she had always wanted. I don't know where to go from here. I am devastated, confused, and exhausted. Can I ask him to never see his mother again? Is that my place to say something like that? I am sorry that my story is so long, but I really needed to get this rant off my chest. Let's see what people had to say in the comments. First comment: you need to sit down with your boyfriend and explain that you're not going to tolerate that kind of nonsense. You need to decide together how to handle her, starting with you having no contact with her and him not sharing an ounce of information about you with her. Then you need to figure out how to survive the wedding, children, etc. Second comment: family heirloom down a storm drain is the last damn straw. I'm amazed he didn't explode. First update from OP. I have been getting a lot of messages asking for an update on the ring situation. Unfortunately, it could not be found. The city came out to try and assist, but they could not uncover anything. My fiancé and his family were devastated by this, and many of them have stopped communicating with my future mother-in-law because of this. The ring had deep significance in the family, more than I understood at the time of writing my first post. This was literally the straw that broke the camel's back for many of the family members. His sisters have chosen to keep contact with my future mother-in-law, and one of them told me that she is playing the victim card. She is saying she had a mental breakdown and that we all need to be more compassionate and understanding of her. I call this total nonsense, and I know she knew exactly what she was doing when she threw the ring down the storm drain. I have a theory that the ring never actually went down the drain. I think that maybe she hid the ring somewhere on herself and only threw the box down the drain. I have no way to prove this, but I have shared this concern with my fiancé and his family. It's a rather large house, though, and it could be hidden anywhere. I don't think the ring will be found anytime soon if that's what actually happened. On a happier note, I am now engaged to my fiancé. My engagement ring does not have the same sentimental value as the other ring, but I love my new ring just the same. I am very happy to be engaged, and I cannot wait to spend my life with my fiancé. My fiancé is now keeping limited contact with his mother, but word has reached her that we are engaged. After she found out, she apparently refused to leave her room for 3 days. She refused to speak to anyone or eat any food. The drama with this woman is truly unbelievable to me. Soon after I heard about her so-called condition, I started receiving a lot of strange emails and phone calls. I started getting calls from strange men asking me to perform a variety of different explicit favors for them. Obviously, I was mortified by this and immediately changed my phone number. I told my fiancé what had happened, and he thinks that someone must have given out my number by accident. I didn't believe that, so I did a Google search of my phone number and found a few Craigslist ads written about me. The descriptions were just too similar to my appearance. They even mentioned my red hair. I truly believe this is my future mother-in-law's doing, or someone she knows. My future mother-in-law knows how to post on Craigslist, because she sells a lot of used things online. I have also mysteriously been signed up for a variety of different dating sites and adult content sites. If this is my future mother-in-law, then I just don't know when she is going to stop. This is a shameful level to sink to, and I cannot believe how pathetic this woman is. I showed all of this to my fiancé and told him about my suspicions. He doesn't think his mother has the tech skills to pull this off. But what he said next chilled me to my bones, because I thought his older sister liked me. He said his older sister had mentioned that, to maintain a healthy relationship, you should be checking your partner's phone every day. She told him there should be no secrets, and that I shouldn't have a problem showing him my phone when he got home. I was planning to ask his sisters to be in my bridal party, and now I don't even know where I stand with them. Do they hate me too? What in the heck did I do to deserve this? I truly don't know who I can trust anymore. I have decided to limit what I tell them going forward, because I currently think they are my future mother-in-law's informants. For now, I am going to try to enjoy my engagement and put all of this out of my head. I guess I will just have to wait and see what happens with his family. Top comment: I am so sorry this is happening to you. The chances she'd go to prison on a first offense are very low. It's more likely a fine, probation, and community service type stuff. If she has a rap sheet already, you have bigger problems. Restraining orders don't tend to work very well on people who aren't stable and/or don't comprehend that their actions have consequences. This woman does not sound stable, nor does it sound like she's ever had to face consequences for her actions. She sounds flat out scary to me, and I would want to move to an address she doesn't know and won't be told. At a minimum, you need a heck of a security system and to keep it armed at all times. Cameras would also be a must. Just look into local laws. Think very long and hard about if you can live with this woman in your life in whatever capacity your husband-to-be would require, or she could force by refusing to leave you alone. She isn't letting this go. She isn't behaving rationally. You are literally in danger. Can you handle the mental, physical, and relationship stress? Can he support you through it? Would he be willing to walk away from his mother and her enablers if that's necessary for your safety and sanity? I don't know the answers to these questions, but it would be smart of you to figure out your own answers to them. Second update: I have been getting messages asking for an update on my situation with my future mother-in-law, so I thought I'd make a quick post on what happened most recently. My fiancé went no contact with her after everything that happened. This lasted about a week before she showed up pounding at our door. My fiancé was at work, and I was alone at home at the time. She was crying loudly, saying she was sorry, and just wanted to see me to apologize. Since I have neighbors who were beginning to watch this scene, I let her inside to talk. At first, she was very apologetic and said she just wanted to have a fresh start. She was pretty convincing, and I was actually considering just letting it all go. That's when she saw my Christmas tree, and everything fell apart yet again. She began to scream that I was trying to convert her son to Christianity, and that I was just a little troublemaker who was trying to ruin her family. I kindly asked her to please leave and told her that she was not welcome here, but she refused to budge. She told me that no son of hers would ever celebrate Christmas and ran toward the tree. She began ripping off every ornament and throwing them, leaving them shattered on the floor. I have many childhood and family ornaments on my tree that are very precious to me. Several were smashed during her rampage. I had to grab her and physically drag her away. This ended with her punching me several times and biting me on my hand. I finally managed to throw her out the front door and grabbed my phone to call the police. She kept screaming like crazy outside, calling me all sorts of names. The police arrived soon after, and just like that, she completely stopped her outburst and tried to play the victim. She told the police that I was an intruder in her son's apartment and that I had attacked her. The police had arrived with an ambulance which took her away because she claimed she was feeling faint and in distress after my so-called attack on her. The police then interviewed me, and I explained what really happened. I showed them the bite mark on my hand and the bruises that were starting to show. My fiancé arrived at the scene and immediately stood by my side. He confirmed to the officers that I live there and that his mother is completely unstable. Seeing her son side with me sent her into another meltdown. The police asked me if I wanted to press charges against my future mother-in-law. I looked at my fiancé, and I could tell he was torn about what to do. In the end, I had to choose what would make me feel safe, and I decided to press charges. My future mother-in-law was taken to the hospital first and then arrested after she was released. She is now facing assault charges, and I have taken out a restraining order against her. This has put serious strain on my relationship with my fiancé. He and the rest of his family want me to drop the charges against his mother. He keeps telling me that since I have a restraining order, she can't come near me, so I shouldn't be worried anymore. I don't think he fully understands how terrifying this experience was for me. He says the decision is mine in the end, and he will support me, but he doesn't want to see his mother go to prison. Part of me wants to pack my bags and leave. I told him how I felt, and he's been begging me to stay with him. He says we can move away and cut off all contact with his family. I'm so confused and don't know what to do. Fourth update. Well, everyone, I know I will be judged for being so trusting, but many of you have asked for an update. I left my fiancé after everything that happened, and I was heartbroken. A few days after leaving and staying with my parents, I found out some life-changing news. I am pregnant. I went back to the apartment to tell him, and his mother was there. Yes, he had decided to side with her. She let out the loudest scream I have ever heard. She told me I needed to get an abortion right away. I told her that I would not do that. I planned to keep the baby. That is when this awful woman attacked me. She started hitting me, aiming for my stomach. After that, I called the police. The man I thought I was going to marry just stood there. He only said stop to her from the sidelines. I honestly believe he wanted the baby to be harmed. Thankfully, the baby is okay. I truly regret dropping the restraining order. I don't know what to do now. I believe he still has legal rights as the father, but I don't know how to make sure they stay away. I am now pregnant and alone, living at my parents' house. Any advice would mean a lot, but please leave out the negative comments. I really don't think I can handle them right now. First comment. First off, I'm sorry this happened to you. Please do not hesitate to press charges against that nutball, and think about whether or not you really want to give him parental rights to your child. You do realize that if he gets time with your baby, she will no doubt have access to them? She already made an attempt at your baby's life, and your ex made no attempt to stop her. Final update. I have been asked many times about what happened after. When I got home that day, my mother took one look at me and was shocked and furious. I had a black eye and bruises. I had turned down the ambulance and went straight to my parents' house. My mother led me to my bed and made me a cup of tea. Then she just kept asking, "Who did this to you?" She thought it was my ex-fiancé, but when I told her the truth, she was even more angry. I explained everything, things I had never told her before, and gave her all the painful details. She calmed me down and said she was going to make me something to eat, but instead she quietly left the house. A few hours later, she came back. She had what she called her trophy, which turned out to be a large clump of my ex-future mother-in-law's hair. She even put it in a keepsake box. She told my ex-future mother-in-law that she would never lay eyes on her grandbaby, and added plenty of choice words I won't repeat here. My mother is actually a former bodybuilder and still takes fitness very seriously. Not long after, I got a call from my ex-fiancé. He didn't ask if I was okay, he just started yelling at me. My mother took the phone and told him never to contact me again, or he'd regret it, just like I had. He hasn't contacted me since. Honestly, I'm not even sure how to wrap this one up. I mean, how do you summarize a story like that? A lost ring, fake ads, physical attacks, and a mother who somehow just keeps finding new ways to get worse. All I can say is, if you're ever dealing with a family like this, please put your safety first. Anyway, that's all I've got. Thanks for sticking around, or whatever. I'll catch you in the next one, unless I finally delete this app like I keep saying I will.